He is a student of Walt Disney, a man who came up under Mike Eisner, the one who understands the parks perhaps better than any person out there, and someone who was highly relatable as we sat and listened to the town hall with Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo. Of course, Jay Rasulo is a man of magic when it comes to knowing what makes the magic be. So it's kind of interesting that Disney now is viciously attacking their former chief financial officer, Mr. Jay Rasulo. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the place where we continue to explain entertainment and keep you ahead of the culture curve. Today, it's another trip down Disney Lane as we talk about former chief financial officer Jay Rasulo. He's also been the head of the parks, and he knocked it out of the park when it came to the town hall with Nelson Peltz. Many were left absolutely stunned at the brilliance of this man, the relatability of this man, his indelible articulation of exactly what once made the company so tremendously great. So why is Disney choosing to berate him? Well, folks, it all comes down to politics. It all comes down to ideology. It all comes down to a vision for the future. Jay Rasulo, you see, is not reimagining tomorrow. He's wishing for yesterday. And for many of us who wish Disney would go back to what they were doing yesterday or yesteryear, well, that makes the current C-suite leadership and the politicos who back it very afraid.
How Disney is using this white paper to try to go after Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo. Jay Rasulo, of course.
Let's get into the mousy religious stuff. This is where we stop being a company and Disney starts being a fanatical organization. Go for it.
Right. So first of all, here we have all of these bullet points. They didn't use those same pictures of them when they're trying to say. I don't know exactly which vowel sound it is that makes sure that your mouth is formed at its most jowliness. They're often shot from below, but they use these. This one of Peltz looking rather exasperated. I guess they decided to go with a nicer picture of Jay Rasulo here. But here's all the points against Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo. No media experience, despite his stated desire to have a board-level review of the creative processes at Disney.
Hold up. Is that true, Jonas? Is that true?
No media experience? No, that's not true. He's part of MSG Networks, Madison Square Gardens, not monosodium glutamate.
Okay, so it's just a flat out starts off falsely.
Right. And okay. And they clarify it in other spaces that they're saying that it's not at the core of Madison Square Gardens to be a media business. Also, they do cherry pick which of those they choose to be profitable because they're spun off into two different companies. I do believe that there's a Madison Square Gardens, maybe the one that runs the Sphere out there in Los Angeles, and also the unit that's the name of the company out there in New York. His only novel ideas demonstrate his lack of understanding of the media ecosystem. They don't really go into much detail on that one in particular.
Do they even say which ideas these are?
They respond to certain aspects of it, but I will say they're unfavorable to the point of misrepresenting what they're saying here. They're confident in their own ideas. There's not a agree to disagree here. There is a, if you disagree with us, you are stupid kind of mentality here. And we'll get into one of those here in just a second when we go to Jay Rasulo. Creates maximum. Actually, this is one of my favorite ones. They probably got this from Hugh Johnston, actually. In previous board experience, was known to establish shadow management teams committing to advancing Trian's agenda. Trians, sorry, it's short for triangle, so it's Trian. Yes, if you have someone who understands how to do business, it is not a bad thing for them to go into areas and figure out what's going wrong there and try to fix them. This is a recognized business technique. This is not a shadow management team can be someone who just knows how to do business well and then can work for Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo to go fix a problem. Bob Iger would describe this as Bob Iger going in and do this, but because it's Nelson Peltz, it's shadow management teams.
Well, that's one way. That's one way to categorize having analysts come in and look at companies protocols and procedures. Okay.
Right. And that is one of his initiatives. I'll also throw that in here. Peltz is saying that they need to reduce the corporate overhead at the Walt Disney Company and give the individual contributors like movies or studios, they need to give them the incentive to be profitable on their own rather than subjugating everything to Disney Synergy, because they think Synergy makes them money because that works if everything is good. But if no one has the profit incentive in and of themselves, then you have the studios blaming the parks or the parks blaming the studios. Everybody needs to be profitable on their own. This is not a bad idea.
Well, but isn't that similar to an idea that when Iger came back, he undid that Chapek created with that one fellow that they promptly got rid of?
Yes, Kareem Daniel.
Yeah.
The most powerful black man in Hollywood, by the way, when they got rid of him.
They got rid of him as fast as they could because he
and not a single special interest group raised a single finger or eyebrow about that.
Yeah, it was weird because he kind of was gonna do that, make everybody accountable for their bottom line and encourage profitability and remove excuses. What was that called again, Jonas?
DMED, Disney
DMED,
Media Entertainment Distribution.
Yeah. They got rid of that pretty fast, didn't they?
Yes, they did. That was the first thing that Bob Iger did after he came back to the company. 6 a.m., probably before his first shower, he called Kareem Daniel and said, "Get out." So
yeah, so
it's not a direct quote. I'm not saying we were in the room, but that's well documented. That the
first of all,
he didn't get to fire Bob Chapek, but he did fire Kareem Daniel.
Yeah, first of all, we couldn't get into the shower. That shower room's pretty well guarded. But yeah, I'm just saying. And that's what that really did is it removed accountability, at least on the studios side, because all the studios would have had to, I don't know, carry the water for a change.
Right. And this really hacked off the creatives, but also it was a system in which they could have fixed the entire company if given the chance to do it. Yeah. Chapek was only in full power for 11 months, and you could argue even that Bob Iger was operating with some kind of shadow power in that time as well. So DMED really never got its fair shake at being able to figure out, okay, well, this after they have delivered the product, then Daniel, I think it's just singular there, that he would be able to figure out where it should go according to the quality that was being delivered. This was not something that creatives appreciated. I can understand why they wouldn't appreciate it, but when you're trying to fix a company, and if you look at the product and then you say, okay, this is movie level, this is Disney Plus level, this is, I don't know what the other levels would be here. This is them trying to fix the system, and they were not allowed to fix the system. It was not allowed to be shaken out. Bob Iger has asked for similar indulgence as he tries to, quote unquote, fix things here at the company. So I don't know, what's good for one is not good for the other, according to Bob Iger, and I can understand it, but it's Bob Iger is given all benefit of the doubt, and anyone who disagrees with him is inane or an idiot or oblivious, as we look over here on this slide that is specifically about Jay Rasulo. This is one of my favorite ones on the entire presentation here. And his partner, the other one was talking about Nelson Peltz. Jay Rasulo is equally oblivious on CNBC.
Get ready, Paul. We're going to come to you on this one because
I'm just listening.
This way, I'm curious your thoughts on this as we get into it in terms of, is this the way that a company is normally, that they normally talk about former CFOs and folks who are experts in their area over just a freaking board seat? Just a single board seat. Anyway, Jonas, tell us what's on this slide, and then I want to get Paul's take on this.
Right. So right here, they're taking this quote from CNBC. It's Jay Rasulo on CNBC, and he says, "And frankly, he did the Fox acquisition, which is very hard to understand, which doubled down on the linear business." So how they are interpreting this here is Jay Rasulo doesn't understand why Disney acquired 21st Century Fox,
which is completely. There's no way you can be such an imbecile to not understand that he is critiquing you. He is not literally declaring that he doesn't understand the move.
Right. They say he stuck with legacy analog thinking since his only media experience in the last 8 years is on the board of iHeartMedia, which has declined 87% since he joined the board.
And let's say what that was. So that was a company that was on the edge of non-existence, and he was brought on the board to help try to save the company as it was preparing to go bankrupt. So it was like a very intense case of him coming in to try to salvage with his expertise from Disney. Now Disney's going to use that against him, but
right. And so in over here on the right, we don't need to read all of this on the right. It is Bob Iger's statements about why they bought Fox, and it was to support streaming. What Peltz and Rasulo here are pointing out that 67% of Fox's assets when they were bought were for linear TV, which is the last time I checked, linear TV by definition is not streaming. So you spend $70 billion to acquire an asset, specifically citing this as the Fox asset. And again, it's 67% of the pro forma, if anyone's sweating me on the details here. That is a linear business that they are all acknowledging is failing. So when he says, and frankly, Iger did the Fox acquisition, which is hard to understand, which doubled down on the linear business, he is calling out a legitimate objection to the Fox acquisition that Disney has failed to articulate why that is not a problem.
So what I want to do is I want to go to Paul now and say, these are just 2 board seats.
What?
Just
what?
2. Just 2 board seats. I mean, this is not for the CFO. This is not for the CEO. This is 2 board seats, minority positions that will not win a single vote, but might be able to bring this company towards a sensible center and might be able to bring in analysts and the teams at Trian to help analyze what's going on with the company. Disney is out to destroy these men and act, this is what you would see in a presidential campaign in October. Paul, what do you make of this? Why are they doing this strategy, do you believe?
So I'm not a complete expert on board politics. Just from a logic perspective, one of the things that you didn't bring up is those lists of the criteria that makes both Peltz and Rasulo inadequate. Has anyone compared those qualifications against the existing board and whether they live up to those?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Jonas, run us through.
So that's one point, is that I'm glad you did that. To me, that's the obvious thing, that why would Disney do that if just in case their sad sack board, the existing board, did not live up to the attack that they've made on Peltz and Rasulo? That would be hugely embarrassing if somebody made that comparison.
Well, one must feel embarrassment in order to have that as a consequence.
And
right, they must have shame, right?
Here in Canada, at least, the president or CEO works at the behest of the board, and the board has to have a certain level of independence. You're going to get smacked badly up here if your board is just a rubber stamper of the CEO.
I just read this thing. I am so freaking livid. I just got off a Zoom call and I'm like, okay, I better look at this thing before I come on the live stream. This is the biggest pack of lying sack of crap. Did you see the chart where they have a chart showing what their losses have been with Disney Plus? Like it's a good thing. Hey, look at how much money we're not losing. Did you guys pull that on?
I'll find it real quick. Yeah.
Jonas, go find, for the listeners that are watching this pro show live and on the replay, holy moly. Holy moly.
It's the one with the
why does this thing
on.
read more like a religious document? Why does it read like a cult document where it's personal attacks? And Mike, did you see the part where it talks about why they should not be on the board because they don't believe in Disney?
Right. No, they don't believe in the woke. Yeah, you know what? They don't believe in the woke politics of this garbage company that runs that buys IPs that we love, puts them on a chart. You know what, Bob Iger, Bob Iger's like my Puerto Rican ex-girlfriend that used to go to the mall with my Amex card and buy Fendi and Coach bags. Come back, put them in the closet and never wear them. That's what he did with Fox. That's what he did with Lucasfilm. And he buys crap and then he doesn't do nothing right with it.
All right.
I'm hot.
Okay, so let me ask you guys about that then. You bring up a great point, Mike, about Bob Iger being very happy to buy up IPs, not use them. He's also willing to take IPs that are highly successful and destroy them if it means getting him a quick win. And so one of those, for example, is Moana 2. Now, listen, this is a panel of men, right? None of us, I think, are just titillated by the idea of going to the cinema to see Moana 2. But at the same time, gentlemen, this is the most popular princess franchise that Disney has. It normally takes 3 to 5 years to make a feature-length animated film. Bob Iger in the last earnings call, he needed the Disney stock price to go up fast to try to fend off Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo. So he announces Moana 2 is coming, right? Moana 2 is coming this November. It's a huge shock to everybody because how could this have happened? How could there be an animated feature-length film that's been worked on this long and nobody knew? Turns out it wasn't. They've just started on it. He's going to take their most popular, their most valuable princess brand and make a movie out of it in 6 months, okay? Like a fifth, a tenth, a 20th of the time that it would normally take. And whether it's good or not doesn't matter. It pumped the stock. And that's all that matters is pumping the stock. It's, Mike, you're exactly right when it comes to this man's disregard for the IP. And at the same time, we have escaped the bounds of this just being about the park junkies. We call them the pixie dusters, the folks who nothing Disney does is wrong. This has now escaped those bounds. It's not just park goers. Now, that kind of language of pixie dusting and believing in Disney and dreamers of all ages, this is now the language they use for their shareholders, their stockholders. And it's like, wait a minute. No, this is getting weird.
That's a good a
You're
time
supposed
as
to
any.
return my investment.
This is as good a time as any to point out that this chart here, which is denoted with little Mickey Mouse symbols, to
Perfect.
point out,
Yes.
if you were trying to demonstrate how profitable something is or how much you were reducing the costs attached to something, would you use an upside down graph that eventually approaches zero as it gets higher and higher?
Well, it doesn't tell you that line is zero.
Right. It doesn't tell you that the line is zero. It has little mouse ears on it, and it goes up as it gets closer to zero, as opposed to reducing losses. This is strictly visualization.
Oh my gosh, I hate manipulated charts, and I hate charts that are not zeroed.
Agreed.
Which is why I don't like the stock market little clips and things like that where they show these massive changes. But this is absolutely disingenuous bullshit.
Paul, and not a lot of people know this because they know you from your commentary and your TV exec career, but you and I know each other in the personal world, and I know that you've been a successful entrepreneur and have run and been a part of multiple businesses, either running your own or running others. As the CEO of a company, would you ever let something like this go out to investors for a board meeting, and why not?
No, because they know it's bullshit. The people on the board are financially literate. And they know how to read a chart. So they're going to laugh at this. This is actually embarrassing from a brand perspective. You're shooting yourself in the foot. This is childish.
So then why did they do it? That's what I'm trying to get at, Paul. This doesn't read like a normal financial paper, normal financial white paper, and it confirms the things that we've been reporting while using verbiage of magical and happiness and all of that. Why did they do this?
Oh, I can tell you, because they're lying. Because I'm a technology person, I've also been following the battle between Intel and AMD, which none of you guys here probably care or know about. But Intel got sideswiped, and I won't get into it too deep because it's going to lose all your all your watchers. But AMD came out with a superior technology that Intel could not match, and the tech people in the underground were able to grab Intel's slide decks that they were using internally to try to propagandize how bad AMD's product was. And it was so laughably bad that the people in the marketplace, it embarrassed Intel to be. So my point is, Intel, a technology leader, shot themselves in the foot by lying.
Right.
It doesn't help. This is not a good strategy because you're just going to get laughed at. So I don't know why Disney is.
By people who are competent. Disney then must be aiming this at incompetent people, at least incompetent in the area of understanding financial and corporate documents.
Now,
That's all I can figure.
Paul, I have to ask this. Paul, did you happen to see our video covering ValueAct's white paper?
No.
Oh, I'll have to send it to you. It is 19 pages of pure drivel. It is a crayon drawing in business form. And 5 of those 19 slides are cover slides that are the title of the section.
I have seen this many times in my life. When I was working for Daimler, I was in Germany when IBM produced a slide deck that was so laughably horrible that I started laughing, and it made the Germans in the room uncomfortable.
This is, again, one of those 19 pages. This is, they're using time talking about all the different qualifications that you should have if you are on a board. Here's a list of companies. This is the second list of companies that they have in this slide deck. Here's another title slide. Here is
I like an entire title slide of just green block. That's always a good sign. It's a dense paper, baby.
This thing is complete drivel. This is also, they're saying, hey, this is a growth sector. Look how big the business itself is. This is the only real charts on the entire thing here. They don't label whether or not this is Disney or whether or not this is the entire theme park industry. This is something that if I was in business school and I submitted this, they would fail me because
the axes aren't even labeled.
Yes, and I'll point out when Disney does their white paper, they're talking about all of the support that they're getting from these people and how they agree with us, and therefore we want to say that we work with our investors because these people who can't even put together a presentation to point out why they work with us.
So is this directed at MSNBC?
It must be. The existence of the Value Act white paper, I think, is just so they can say that Value Act has a white paper. They're hoping that you won't look at it, and then
Disney can
Value
say,
Act,
right, yep.
right. So then they can go here and say, oh, see, look at all these times we engage with our shareholders. These are also people that are engaging by saying, you keep doing what you're doing. By the way, why don't you do what we had them do at Microsoft? Why don't you do what we had them do at Adobe and do some kind of bundling and charge people on a regular basis?
It's too bad they're not using the Ashley Madison logo.
They might be in that tank, but Adobe, of course, the bane of many creatives' existence right now, because they offer a product that is the industry standard. The same thing with Microsoft Office. Here, they bundle it and then they charge you money every single month to use it, whether or not you use it.
So, Jonas,
the point that I'm trying to say here is that the fact that these two companies are working together, and by the way, Blackwell's is now coming out against Value Act as well. So that's
what I wanted to show real quick, Jonas. Let me show this briefly. This Culture sent this to me in the back channels here. Culture, thank you so much for doing so. This broke yesterday, March 11th, 2024. Let's read the title here, but that's all we needed, and we'll just go into the discussion of it. Blackwell's Capital reveals failure by the Disney board to disclose in this proxy fight, the one we're talking about, that Value Act, remember they work so well with Value Act, wonder why, that Value Act has earned fees for managing Disney pension funds since 2013. Urges shareholders to disregard Value Act's endorsement of the board. Questions whether the board violated ERISA, ERISA laws, as well as Disney's own code of ethics. You know, I'm shocked that Blackwell's is actually doing something productive, but there it is. Blackwell's actually did something good. Yes, Disney has been in bed with Value Act. Value Act is there as a buffer to stop the try-in efforts. That's the whole deal. And they should be held accountable for this nonsense.
Agreed. And the thing I was going to throw in here is that what they are probably going to do is that Disney Prime software or subscription that we were all hearing about, that Bob Chapek was so evil for trying to come up with Disney Prime. This is the kind of thing that Value Act is. That's their bread and butter. Hey guys, what if you took the things that everybody wants to buy and instead of giving it to them, you made them rent it on a frequent basis as a subscription?
We haven't heard anything on Disney Prime in about 6 months. It's going to be interesting to see if more stuff comes out after we get through this vote.
Agreed, and it's going to be it's going to be something where you have to get Disney Plus and Hulu and everything all together as one thing. It's not going to be creative, and they're going to lock something behind a paywall that doesn't need to be behind a paywall. I'm very cynical about this particular collaboration because one, it gets them brownie points that they don't deserve with the headline readers, and two, it's probably going to cost a lot of money as Disney tries to move even further into that we are a millennial or dual income, no kids lifestyle brand more than a family entertainment company.
And folks, we have come to the end of yet another video. We had a tremendous time though, and we appreciate you having joined us for it. As you head out the door today, perchance, should we be so lucky, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, it's the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. Folks, don't forget that the Pro Show is live Tuesdays at noon Eastern, and this coming week, we've got a special Pro Show this Thursday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern, along with member-exclusive live streams coming to you as we hop into spring, and we are happy to do so. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.